Hey, this is Off the Cuff, and I'm Steve from TorahFamily.org. You know, I believe there's some confusion out there regarding Israel and what many call the church. Who is Israel and who is the church? There are some who say the church replaced Israel. That belief is called replacement theology. That's something we do not believe. We're to be grafted into Israel. We don't replace Israel. Virtually all of Romans chapter 11 discusses this. It's in this realization I can tell you that biblical Israel and the biblical church are one and the same. I know that may be hard to hear at first, so let's briefly look at this. First, Israel isn't just lines on a map over in the Middle East. Israel isn't just the people who live within those lines either. Likewise, the church isn't a building. The church isn't just individuals who attend meetings in that building either. We've been told these are two completely different entities. So, what are the definitions of these words, Israel, and that which has become known as the church? Israel is first identified in the Old Testament and also given this title from Yahweh himself. Then we find this is the case after the Exodus as well. Here we see that others went with them. What happened with these other people? Well, we notice they begin being considered a part of Israel right away. Consider what is said at the time Pharaoh pursues all those who left just after he released them. Exodus 14, verse 19. Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. We see that they were considered a part of Israel. They were truly the first who were grafted in. Remember, the land that Israel conquered was divided amongst the 12 tribes. It was divided 12 ways. It was given only to the 12 tribes. So these other people assimilated in with the 12 tribes of Israel. Plus, these other people are informed they are not to be considered different or follow their laws. They are instructed to follow the same instructions as those who are native born. Numbers chapter 15. As for the assembly, there shall be one statute for you and the alien who sojourns with you, a perpetual statute throughout your generations. As you are, so shall be the alien before Yahweh. There is to be one law and one ordinance for you and for the alien who sojourns with you. So there we have it. As you are, so shall the alien be before Yahweh. They are the same. They were truly grafted in as a part of Israel. So what does this tell us? It tells us Israel is anyone who chooses to follow Yahweh. This is very important, so please let's not forget it. Anyone who chooses to follow Yahweh is Israel in the eyes of Yahweh. Now, what about the church? There are many differing opinions on where the English word church came from. I'll save that for another teaching. However, the English word church is first mentioned in Matthew chapter 16. It's used for the Greek word ecclesia. It's also mentioned again in chapter 18. The Greek word ecclesia actually means assembly. Had the interpreters used the word assembly, as ecclesia truly means, instead of the word church, there would be no confusion on this issue. When you look up the word assembly in the Old Testament, you'll find it's normally the Hebrew word kahal. You'll find it's referring to the assembly or church of the Old Testament, that being the congregation of Yahweh's people. Compare Stephen's referral to Moses in Acts chapter 7. He was in the assembly in the desert with the angel who spoke to him on Mount Sinai and with our fathers, and he received living words to pass on to us. The word for assembly here is ecclesia. That's right, the exact same word used for church throughout the rest of the New Testament. So why didn't the translators make this ecclesia say church like all the other ones in the rest of the New Testament? Because that would put Moses in the church. And most everyone wants to separate the church from Israel, when nothing could be further from the truth. If the word assembly was used like it should have been for the word ecclesia in the rest of the New Testament, as it was here in Acts chapter 7, the flow between the Old and New Testaments would be seamless. Then we would see what many call the church is truly the continuation of the assembly from the Old Testament and not some new creation from Yeshua. I want to say all of that again just to make sure you see how important this short teaching really is. If the word assembly was used like it should have been for the word ecclesia in the rest of the New Testament, as it was in Acts chapter 7, the flow between the Old and New Testaments would be seamless. For then we would see what many call the church is truly the continuation of the assembly from the Old Testament, and not some new creation from Yeshua. Even the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of most of the Old Testament, uses ecclesia for assembly throughout the translation. And in case you didn't know, the Septuagint was written hundreds of years before Yeshua came. What does this mean? It means ecclesia was understood by all first century believers to be the assembly of Israel. So, anytime they saw or heard the word ecclesia, they didn't think of something new. They thought of the assembly of Israel. This truly can't be overlooked anymore. To further this point, we see only 12 gates in the New Jerusalem as given in Revelation, all for the 12 tribes. Revelation 21:12. It had a great high wall with 12 gates and with 12 angels at the gates. On the gates were written the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. We must take note that there is no gate for what is commonly called the Gentile church. Meaning what? Meaning just as those who joined Israel coming out of Egypt assimilated into the 12 tribes, we are grafted into Israel just the same today. There is no separation. You're either a part of biblical Israel or you're not in. The assembly of Israel in the Old Testament is the ecclesia of the New Testament. Biblically speaking, we can't separate Israel and the assembly, that which is commonly called the church. There is no such thing as Israel and the church, because Israel is the church, that being the assembly. Yet, it's commonly referred to as the church by most, Now, that's not to be confused with the Catholic Church or the Baptist Church or the Pentecostal Church or whatever other church is out there. Remember, just as in the days of the first Exodus, Israel is anyone who chooses to follow Yahweh. Again, Israel is the assembly, the church of the New Testament. And the assembly or the church is Israel. There is no gate into the New Jerusalem for a Gentile church. You will enter the New Jerusalem through one of the 12 tribes, or you won't enter at all. Well, that's all I have. Think about it. Pray about it. But more than anything, be a doer of the word and not a hearer only. Until next time, Shalom.